That's my neighbour. So it's time for some soothing music from Lawrence Welk. Come on, I need soothing. I'm in the loony bin, the rat house, the cuckoo's nest, suicide towers, the light on the hill, that place, the magic castle. I'm trying to do my imitation of Randall P. McMurphy. Oh, here we go. This is the music you'll be hearing at the rat house when Nurse Ratched wants to really irritate you. The hair, it's the hair. Imagine you're one of the chronics and you wear a dressing gown all day, but you don't play cards. Brings a tear to my heart and a lump in my throat. I know what to do. Oh. Well, I can't do any of that on camera. You see, the thing is that I saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in the late 70s. So I would have been like 20 at the very most. And I'd already read the book, and I remember thinking that the film was quite a lot like the book. But I saw the film recently on Netflix. I don't have Netflix. My neighbour has Netflix. He showed it to me. I mean, he wanted to see it, and he liked it. It was a great film. But I realised it's not exactly like the book. It's one of the closest, but the book is written from the point of view of Chief Bromden, the guy with the broom. He's really big. He's got long hair. He's a Native American, and he's paranoid. I mean, he's got an interesting point of view, but he's definitely paranoid because it starts off where he's pitching about the machinery and the walls. And you think, well, you know, if I had machinery in my walls, I'd be bitching about it. But it turns out there's no machinery in the walls. He's just paranoid. I'm not sure if they had a term bipolar back when the book was written. So he would have just been considered to be schizophrenic. Please. This is Lawrence Welk. This is the music that you'll be listening to when you're in the rat house. I was in the rat house for observation after I finished art school. I took too much acid and I had a really vivid hallucination. I won't go into it right now, but it was to the tune of Lark's Tongue in Aspic by King Crimson. Now, if you were listening to King Crimson in the rat house, you'd probably go more insane. This is like the equivalent of Valium before they invented serenades. But no, Randall P. McMurphy is not the smartest guy in the room. Even when he gets into the room, he's not the Bull Goose Loony, because the Bull Goose Loony is sitting there in a dressing gown playing cards. And that's Dale Harding, who's a repressed homosexual who's married to, what would you call it? A Karen, I suppose. And there's Nurse Ratched, who keeps everybody in line. And there's also the orderlies who are kind of, I don't know if they're orderlies or nurses or, they look like a barbershop quartet. Actually, they don't look like a barbershop quartet. They look like the Temptations, actually. But my friend just assumed that all barbershop quartets are. There's three black guys with white suits, white pants and black bow ties. And instead of falling into harmony, they smash people around. You see, I don't look the slightest bit like Randall P. McMurphy because I'm too skinny. I can't even hear what this guy's talking about. But now, Randall P. McMurphy is a very unpleasant human being. He's a convicted rapist, and he wants to convince everybody that he's insane. So they send him to the rat house for observation, and Nurse Ratched gets a hold of him, and he gets a hold of Dale Harding, and they all go out on a boat trip, and they come back. And then Randall McMurphy strangles Nurse Ratched, but not to death, and then he gets a lobotomy. The end. Oh yeah, but Bromden flies out the window, and you see, he's pretending to be deaf and dumb, so he doesn't have to take part in all the bullshit conversations by people like McMurphy and Harding and that other guy who was in that film. Well, two other guys that were in two other films, actually. Several people were in other films. Nurse Ratched was played by Louise Fletcher, sorry. Oh, it's a rainy scene. Rainy days in April. I hope it's not too loud. Where was I? Nurse Ratched was played by Louise Fletcher, who was also in Brainstorm with Natalie Wood and Christopher Walken. It was definitely Natalie Wood's final film. But in the film, Louise Fletcher dies. So she happens to have a handy device where she can stick it on her head and record herself dying and record what you see when you're dead. And apparently it's pretty pictures. But back to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah, McMurphy doesn't fool anybody. But they, apparently all the doctors and people are beholden to Nurse Ratched. She runs the show. She's like Priscilla Presley in that episode of Melrose Place, except with those eyes. Reminds me of someone I shouldn't mention. So Randall P. McMurphy comes back with his lobotomy, and Billy Bibbert kills himself after fucking the prostitute. And Bromden flies over the fence. And in the book, he's got this little rhyme that goes, wine, briar, limber, lock, 3 geese in a flock. One flew east, one flew west, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. And that's not mentioned in the film. They just had this funny music. Sort of reminds me of being in the Rat House.